Hello and good morning. I'm Matthew Ambrosio. Hello and good morning. I'm Matthew Ambrosio, and we're here for Ambrose Style. And today we have a very special guest who's going to educate us about the basic 101s of fragrance, how to choose the right one, the power that it can hold, the romance and the history about it, and pretty much anything that we need to know about fragrance. And as a beauty editor, I love to learn about fragrance because it's something that's ever changing. It never follows any trends, and there's just so much to choose from. So it's always great to get some good knowledge about it. And it comes with great pleasure to introduce to you my very special guest, Victoria Collette. Victoria is a perfume designer, and she has her own line of perfumes which she's formulating right now, which comes out in just a few weeks. And she's going to take us through and romance us about fragrance, for perfumes and colognes for men and women, how to choose the right perfume for you, the power that it can have in attraction and confidence and self-esteem. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce her to you. Victoria Collette, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we met and we're able to do this and show our audience the great things that perfume can do for someone. And I know you have a very interesting background, one very similar to mine. Victoria is yet another person who has managed to reinvent herself post-financial industry. Yeah, we've all been there. You know,
Yes.
it was a tough industry. We both came from the same place, and we both reinvented ourselves and decided to become entrepreneurs in a sense. And I would love for you to tell me about how you started in banking. What was your background?
Sure. So I was a business major, and which pretty much meant I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. And so I decided to go into finance because that seemed where the money was, and that's kind of what drew me that way. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I did a little soul searching. I was about 25 at the time, and I decided to go into human resources. So I was doing training and development. Did that again for another 5 years. And at that point, now I'm approaching 30. So now this is that big
Old lady.
Yeah, so you don't know 30, that's that big number. And I just realized that I needed more to life. I was living in, working in Manhattan, had the great apartment, great job, at least that's what I thought I wanted, but it felt like something was more. I needed something more, something was missing. And I pretty much read every self-help book imaginable, and and I decided I needed a change. And I had this idea, it was kind of a memory that I remembered. And it was about perfume. It was actually my first perfume experience. And I realized that, this would be a great idea if I could launch this perfume line. Now, I'll share with all of you, I actually sat on that idea for a complete year, because I just figured, how am I, Victoria Collette, growing up on Long Island, how am I going to create this perfume line? There's so many competitors out there. There's no way I could do it. And I think I had to hit rock bottom, because then it took me till then I was now 31, and I realized I need to do this. So it's been a long time in the making. It's been 3.5 years getting this together, but now on October 15th I'll be releasing the Victoria Collette perfumes.
That is excellent, and congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
I know exactly how you feel when it comes to searching it and the journey.
Yes.
And for all those who are going to be turning 30 this year, a little word of advice. The last 5 minutes of being 29 are the worst in your life, okay? Because you're never going to be in your 20s ever again,
But they are excited, because it's all new beginnings.
Absolutely, and the great thing about getting older, as far as for me, I'm sure you would agree, is, the older I get, the smarter I get, the more money in my bank account, and the cuter I get, too. I think we can all agree, right?
That gawky stage kind of leaves
Oh,
you.
yeah, it's gone. So getting older in your 30s is a great time, and it's definitely a great time to explore your options and your dreams and to determine if it's, this is what you want to do or if this is what you want to do. So
and I think for me, and what I discovered even with others, is that time in your 30s, it's the 20s you're figuring yourself out. 30s, it's all coming together.
Right.
So, I'm really excited to even get older. I'm excited when it's my birthday, because I know there's something more ahead, and I just feel like each year you keep coming into more of who you really are.
It's very true. It's very true. The more you get more creative.
Yes.
So,
yes.
This is a great time to bring in your fragrance line, because I know it's primarily based on self-discovery and,
Yes.
and confidence and attitude and sexuality. It's
Yes.
all about finding out who you are.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about your line and what its purpose
Sure.
is.
So I'll start back. I kind of touched a little bit on it where I was doing the soul searching and I was figuring, and I had the story that I remembered from my past. And what that story was, it was actually when I was 8 years old. I was attending my first wedding. And I remember that day so clearly. It was, I had my new dress, my hairstyle. But what was so significant about that day, besides looking, like this little girl going out for the first time, it was, I got a gift from my mother that day, and it was my first bottle of perfume. And little did we know that that gift was going to change my life forever, but it did. And what I realized when I put on that perfume, as a little girl, I'm putting it on, and it was just literally this feeling that came over me, and I felt that I was transformed. And as an 8-year-old little girl, I was transformed into a princess, and that's what I was for the night. Now, looking back on that, when I was in my 30s, looking back on that line, that day, I realized that perfume can be an experience. It is something that transforms you, where you could be anything you want to be.
Right.
It's similar to like in fashion. If you hear about the little black dress. When you put that black dress on, there's a feeling that comes over you. And I think I believe perfume can do that as well. So it should be part of your wardrobe
So what
to
you're
really
saying
transform you.
is that you wear the perfume. It doesn't
Yes.
wear you.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with fashion, the same thing with makeup, same thing with anything.
Exactly. It's the image you want to portray. So, you're going to be different during the day to the evening. So it depends what you're actually doing. If you're going out on that date, you want to look sexy. You want to look your best. So you're going to want a perfume that's going to
Yeah.
capture that.
Yeah.
So, and it's just all those senses. It's just all something that helps with that, giving you that image that you want to portray.
May I ask what perfume it was?
Perfume. Oh yes, well my first one. I was gonna bring it with me too, and I didn't. It was actually
You
an.
still have it?
I do. Well, I found an actual bottle
Oh, okay.
at an antique store.
Oh, wow.
So it was an Avon bottle, and
Okay.
it looked like a little girl. It was a sweet little bottle, very soft scent to it. But I mean, just the memories that it evokes in me.
Right.
It just I never thought that day would transform my life, but it did.
That's how it works, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Very, very cool. So you've brought your fragrances with you.
Yes.
And I have to say, I mean, from what I've seen, there's keys everywhere. Can you tell me what the key represents for
Yes.
your line?
Well, besides loving, I have a love for the 18th century. And it's pretty much what that period embodies, where you think of that luxury, that romance. That's what I wanted to capture in my line, but in a modern way. So the key is very significant in many ways. Plus, I love skeleton keys. So that 18th century kind of key,
Yeah.
I love that. So
Very
I
cool.
needed to add that into the feel of the perfume. But there's more to it. It's more how I said that with my perfumes, you can unlock that inner essence. So the perfume is the key to whether if you want to unlock that passion with the perfume seductress, if you want to embrace your inner femininity with my perfume beauty, or even that inner gentleness with innocence. So each of those perfume gives you the key to unlock all of that.
Okay.
And every woman has the seductress, the beauty, the innocence inside of you. This perfume is just going to help you unlock that.
Sounds awesome. Excellent. Now, as someone who's in the beauty world and,
Yes.
and is also a perfume or cologne lover, I shamefully don't know as much as I should about it.
Okay.
Okay. I know it's a very complex and it's a very, how would you say, detailed process to make
Yes.
these things. I mean, what do you call someone who creates perfumes?
So they would be the perfumer, or you might even
Okay.
hear them call the nose.
Okay.
Because they're the
Excellent.
woman they're the man or the woman
Mhm.
that's really creating that essence. So how a perfume starts, I'm going to give you kind of the background of if anybody, whether it's Victoria Colette perfumes or if it's Chanel, if it's an Estee Lauder, how it all starts is with a concept or a brief. In the industry they call it a brief, which is pretty much just the story that you want to capture. And that's how I started with my lines. I knew the feeling I wanted each woman to get from each bottle of perfume.
When we had our conversation yesterday, sorry
Yes.
to cut you off, we were talking about my favorite perfumes and
Yes.
colognes.
Yes.
And, when I think of colognes, I think of cities that I've visited.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And I attribute it to whether it was, Dolce & Gabbana, the one, a favorite of mine. Reminds me of, like, Buenos Aires,
Yes.
or Jean Paul Gaultier. I think of Paris. I feel Parisian when I wear it.
Yes.
And my most favorite of all, the most recent, is Victor Rolf Spice Bomb.
Yes.
Every person I recommend it to is totally in love with it, and
Wow.
it's just like international, every scent it has. And it's just amazing to me how they can put all these things together
Yes.
and make
Yes.
it smell so good. And, you know, the women come up to me and they're like, what are you wearing? I'm like, it's what it is. I even mix them a little bit sometimes. I create my own scent.
And there's
so
nothing wrong with that.
no, it's great. It doesn't ruin the scent at all. It
Yeah.
actually will work for you. So we'll talk
Yes.
about that later on too.
Yeah, I think it's great to experiment, and it's usually, you know, with different essences, they might smell wonderful alone or they might not, but when you pair them together, there's something magical that happens. So, and that's pretty much what's all about perfume.
Excellent. And essence, you mean that is the base of the fragrance, that is what you smell the most
Yeah,
of?
so how a perfume is made up, it's made up with different essences or different perfume oils. So pretty much if you think about it as ingredients. So you're gonna have many ingredients within a perfume. You have the ones that you have a top note, a middle note, and a base note in perfume, or many notes within those. Now the top note, that's when you first open that perfume. If you spray it first, that's the first notes that you're going to get. So depending on how the perfume is made, it could be sweet, it could be spicy, depending on what the perfumer wanted you to capture in that first initial scent of the perfume. Then you have the middle notes, which are pretty much the heart of the perfume.
Okay.
So that's really that full body of the perfume. And then as you wear it, you'll notice like some people might say you lose the scent of the perfume, but I feel like there's something more magical. As the perfume is drying down, now you're getting the base notes coming out of it. So it could be something a little softer, a little woodsier. So it's kind of giving you many levels within the perfume.
Okay, so I know from working with women and men in retail beauty that they have very generic classifications when it comes to fragrances. And when we're looking for a fragrance, you've got your powdery scents, you've got your citrus scents, you've got your musky scents, you've got your florals. Those are huge.
Yes.
And it amazes me how some people are just so turned off by a floral, like, but love a citrus. It's pretty crazy.
Yes, and I think it's all, perfume evokes memories, so, or feelings. So it could be you smell something and it reminds you of something that happened in your past, whether you like it or don't. And that could be pretty much why you like a perfume or you don't like a perfume. So it's different, it's really different for everybody.
I have to say, I mean, it definitely has to be attached with some type of emotion, because when I've shown people, it's like almost like I held up something that was very, very poor smelling in front of their nose, and they just backed off and they were upset.
Yes.
So maybe it did have something to do with the memory, or maybe it is just personal preference. But
Exactly.
yeah, I know.
We all have our own style.
I run from florals. Don't like them. Yeah.
Well, I think if you have a good combination of both, then you're really going to get what everybody likes. So you could have maybe some of the top notes be floral based, but then the base could be more woodsy or even animalistic, depending on what you're looking for.
Okay, excellent. So you've brought some
Yes.
products with you. You have your fragrances. It looks like you have some essence as well, and you
Yes.
also have the colors.
Yes.
Teach me.
Okay.
Talk to me about fragrance.
So what I figured we could have fun this morning, I'm gonna walk you through a full perfume experience. So we are
Okay.
gonna transform you today.
Uh-oh.
Whether you're gonna be that seductress, that beauty, or that innocence. So let's have fun with it, okay?
I'll take the seductress.
So now what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna have you smell an essence. So this is pretty much a note or an ingredient within the perfume.
Before we
Yes.
move forward, I also wanted to make a
Sure.
specific note. For all those out there who are not sure, what is the difference between a parfum and a
Yes.
toilette?
So it's just the different concentration of the perfume oil. So for an eau de parfum, there's more of the perfume oil. If the toilette is, there's more alcohol in it, or it might be watered down, so it's a little less concentrated.
It's more intense, the parfum.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes, and it will last longer as well.
And it's more expensive usually as well.
Of course, because now you're paying more for the perfume oil because you're getting more of that natural essences.
Right. Okay.
Okay? So I am going to have you smell an essence or a note or again a ingredient within the perfume. I'm not telling you what it is till later because I pretty much want this to be like a blind smell test.
Okay.
And when you smell this, just let us know, let me and the audience know what you feeling it evokes,
Okay.
or a memory or anything that
Do I
comes
put
to
a
mind.
filter on?
That's up to you.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's the first one. What's your thoughts on that? What do you feel?
Very,
And don't try to think of what it is.
Okay.
Just kind of the feeling that it evokes in you.
it definitely evokes, it's nostalgic. It reminds me of when I was younger.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Now here's another one. Again, these are ingredients within my perfumes.
Okay.
Okay, this one.
Okay. That one gives me the feeling of travel. I feel like
Okay.
like I've been somewhere, or it reminds me of a foreign place I've been to.
Wow, can't wait to tell you. Okay, and this last one. I like smelling them, that's why I smell them first.
That's interesting. It reminds me of a season.
Wow, you got a good nose. Okay, so this, before I tell you, I'm going to say, which one did you like the best out of the three? Or which one are you drawn to more? Kind of which one do you want to smell a little bit more?
I am not a decisive person when it comes to like liking things. I like to rank things.
Okay.
So I'll
what's
tell
your
you,
top?
my favorite one was the one that reminded me of a season.
Okay.
My second favorite was one that reminded me of travel.
Okay. Okay, so you're going right in order.
I would have
Exactly.
to say I probably wouldn't wear the third one.
Okay.
It was a little too strong for me,
Okay.
but it was beautiful.
Okay. So we're going to start with the one that you were drawn to the most.
Mhm.
So what you're actually smelling here is damask rose, or Turkish rose, which is pretty much a damask rose.
Okay.
So it's the classic floral, which kind of fits in where you're saying the season. I mean, think of when you think of springtime or the sea, you're
That's what I
smelling
thought
the
of.
roses. Exactly.
I thought
So
of
you
somewhere
were
in spring.
you were right on with that.
Okay. But even though I don't like floral, I still liked it.
Yes.
Because of what it made me feel.
Yes,
Wow,
exactly,
that's interesting.
exactly. So now, with the Turkish rose that you're smelling, this is one of the notes in the perfume that I created, Beauty. So it seems like today or this morning, you want to unlock that inner beauty inside you, Matthew.
I'm ready. Let's go. Is it more
So now-
possible?
Yeah, so now with Beauty, there's, as I mentioned, there's many different notes in it. So you were smelling one of the notes, which is actually in the heart of the perfume. When I created Beauty, I wanted to create pretty much what I was envisioning was that, if you think of a pink rose, that very soft, classic, feminine perfume, that's what I want to create in this. So we have many different top notes. We have a top note of amber, which you'll smell first, which when you first smell this, you're going to get the amber that is kind of warm. And then you get the rose, which is, like I said, it's that classic floral, which is, rose is actually known to enhance your beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Also in that, the heart of the perfume, I pair that with clove, which sounds interesting, but it gives it that spicy kind of feel, and when clove is known to revitalize you.
Right.
So it's kind of revitalizing
Mhm.
that inner beauty
I
with
usually
you.
will take clove and I'll like put it in the oven, and
Ah,
or I'll boil it
wow,
on the
see?
stove, and it just fills up the whole
Yes,
house.
yes, it's
Mhm.
very is actually sandalwood and musk. So the sandalwood gives it a very woodsy, and then the musk, you're not smelling that there. You're only smelling the rose there.
Okay. I was
Okay.
gonna say.
So this is actually the perfume I'm going to have you smell.
Oh, okay.
Now, why
Excellent.
I actually kind of pretty much decantered the perfume, it's similar to like a wine. Instead of just spraying it where you're just going to get all of a sudden that top note that it's very strong to your senses, this is going to be a little more subtle, and it gives you the full body of the perfume.
Why in retail beauty do they spray it on? I mean, when I see them spray it, it's like they spray it onto the piece of paper.
Yes.
And it's like dripping.
Yes.
And they spray it so close, like within 2 inches.
Yes.
You know, it's like, are they trying to make an impact, or is it just like in your face type of thing? Like, isn't it better to do it this way? I mean, it's probably not appropriate in a retail environment to be
I guess
smelling
it
of
depends. I prefer it this way because again, I want to give
This is the
I
true
want to give
sense.
everybody a perfume experience. So I want it to be something special. So maybe if I take a little bit of more of your time, I really think you're going to walk away and be like, wow, that was an
Excellent.
amazing experience. I really got the full body of the perfume.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do now. So now
Alright.
we're going to smell the inner beauty that you want to unlock today. So this is the perfume Beauty. So you might be able to get, you're going to still get the rose, you're going to get that amber for warmth, the sandalwood is still in there, and a little bit of that musk.
It changes.
Yes.
I smelt 4 different scents at 4 different times. First I
Yes.
smelt the rose,
Yes.
then I smelt something citrusy and spicy, and
Yes.
then I smelt the musk,
Yes.
the sandalwood.
Yes.
How
Yes.
come?
So it's just, and it could even be more that I'm telling you about it, so now you're picking it up. It could, if you ever went to, think of it as wine. If you ever did a wine tasting.
Suggestive.
And yes, and then somebody tells you, oh, you're going to smell woodsy, you're going to smell earthy, whatever it might be. All of a sudden, then you start picking it up, where if you just do it yourself, you might not pick it up, but eventually you're going to learn to pick up those notes.
Okay. You know, that's, even though it's a woman's perfume, that's something I could actually wear.
Well,
I
I'm glad
think
to
I
hear
would.
that, Matthew.
Yeah. Because of the base, because of the muskiness to it, the strength.
And I gave them, because it's still, like I said, I wanted to capture that inner beauty, but there's still something sensual that you wanted.
It's not overly sweet.
Yes.
That's
yes.
the issue when people try to do feminine perfumes, is that they load it up with sweet.
Yes.
And to me, it's diluted in a way.
Yes.
I mean, this is pure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's move on now to your second one that you
I'm excited about
picked.
this one.
So what you're smelling here, this essence is ylang ylang, which is an exotic floral. So where you were saying traveling to the Far East, that's where you're going to find ylang ylang. So again, you have a nose.
I think I should be a nose.
Yes, exactly. I think you need to transform yourself again.
That explains why I'm so good at picking colognes for
Yes,
myself, because
yes.
I'm picking colognes for other people too, because I just know what smells good.
Yes. So ylang ylang is one of the notes that's actually in the heart of Seductress. Because of course, ylang ylang is known as an aphrodisiac, and I had to add that in Seductress. So I'm going to have you smell, now again, you're going to smell ylang ylang, but there's also notes of jasmine in there. There's notes of cardamom and bergamot. So just giving you that very rich kind of sweet but intoxicating.
Okay.
Because jasmine is known, which you might know, as enticing the senses.
Okay.
So pretty much if you ever smelled jasmine anywhere, you're gonna want to follow that trail, and that's what I wanted to do with Seductress.
Okay.
Okay? So this is Seductress. So it is stronger than Beauty, but it's gonna
I
kind
have a
of
date
allure you
tonight,
in.
and you said this is an aphrodisiac,
Oh,
right?
it is.
Okay, can I borrow that bottle?
Of course. Okay, and this last one that you were smelling, this is the essence called Orange Blossom.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you were saying it was taking you back to the younger,
It was nostalgic for me.
Yes.
It kind of reminded me of a more mature woman's perfume, something more floral, more strong, almost like a Chanel. That's what it kind of reminds me of, which is, when I think of Chanel, everybody thinks vintage and thinks classic and thinks, old time, like fashion and beauty and all that. So when I smelled that, I smelled classic.
Yes.
And I guess that's why it made me feel nostalgic.
Yes. So Orange Blossom is one of the heart notes in my perfume that I call Innocence. And what I created Innocence around was to unlock that inner gentleness, that inner softness inside of you. What I was even picturing or envisioning was your first kiss, a new relationship, new beginnings. That's what I want Innocence to represent.
Well, it was with the girl. And she did like strong floral perfume. This is creeping me out now.
So let's smell Innocence now.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's Innocence.
I'm blown away because that was my least favorite of the three, and that's my most favorite of all of them.
Wow. Wow.
I love that.
So pretty much, it seems like today you're
I
drawn.
can still smell it.
You're drawn to beauty, because that seemed like what you were initially going for. But we all have
Can I smell
each
it
of
again?
these. Sure. We all have
It's
each
phenomenal.
of these essences inside of you. So whether it's today, you might want to unlock your inner beauty, your inner seductress, or your inner innocence.
This is so good. It reminds me of it's got cinnamon in it. Or does
There's
it
no
have something?
cinnamon.
Does it have
There's no
something
cinnamon.
like spicy or
There's
something
actually probably what you're smelling
like? It's
is
slightly powdery.
There is, because I used a powdery rose, also besides the orange blossom in the base, but also the top notes are, I added a parsley in it, which sounds interesting, but it gives you that spicy.
Parsley.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, it's a parsley oil, which
it
gives
had
you that
that,
spice that
like,
you need.
It had that citrusy, fresh
Yes.
scent to it, but a mix of
Yes.
powdery as well. It's a perfect
Yes.
blend.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell people where they can find your perfumes.
Yeah, so I'm going to be launching on October 15th, so everyone's kind of getting a sneak peek on the full perfume experience. And so please visit my website at www.victoriacollette.com.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And before we leave, is there anything that you would like to tell the audience when looking for fragrances? Any advice
Yes.
you can give them?
I think it's pretty much, and I think everybody gets settled on having one fragrance. And I think you should have a wardrobe of fragrances. So it really depends, kind of what we were saying, which essence do you want to
How are you
unlock?
feeling that day?
Exactly. So
Right.
you could have one for the day, one for the evening, one for being with your children, one for your husband. So it's kind of the feel you want. So I really think it should be a wardrobe, and perfume should transform you. So
Right.
make sure when you spray that perfume on you, it should be a feeling that comes over you, because that's the whole beauty of it. That's the magic
Cool.
of perfume.
Excellent. Wow, this is wonderful. I'm so happy we had you today
Thank
because
you,
I
thank you.
really
I'm happy to
learned
be
a
here.
lot, and I feel like I almost had some type of reading with these perfumes. It was almost
Great,
magical.
great.
This is really cool. You really
is.
do know your stuff.
Thank you,
I'm
thank
very
you.
impressed. So, thank you everybody for watching. Again, I'm Victoria Collette, perfume designer, and I'm Matthew Ambrosio of Ambrose Style. And I will see you next week with another very special guest. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at Blue Chip, or if you have any questions for Colette, feel free to reach her. And we will see you again next week. Thank you so much.